Good morning. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. Glad to have you. My name is Larry. The other day, I was thinking about something. It's like, what happened to my America? What happened to the America that was there when I was a child? It is so different now than what it was then. I'd like to hear some of your comments on how you're dealing with some of these things. Now, this could be an extremely long video, but it's not going to be. It's going to be about my standard length, I think. But it's going to be two parts. There's just a lot of things I'd like to get some views on, see what you all think about it. I want to start out with this. As a young child, I was probably 6 or 7, probably. We lived right down the street from a small strip shopping center. And there was a grocery store there. And I was in there one time with my mother, and I stole something. I stole something. There was some little car or trinket or something that I wanted. So I didn't have the money to buy it. So I just stuck it in my pocket and took it home. Well, like a dummy, my mother was none the wiser. Um, um, I wasn't smart enough as a 6 or 7 year old to hide the evidence. So I just left it out in plain sight in my room. Well, she found it. She asked me where I got it. And I confessed, told her I'd stolen it. Oh, man. Now, my mother and I were never close. As I grew older, we grew further apart, but that's another story. But she marched me. She grabbed me by the hand and dragged me. We were only like 6 or 7 houses from this little strip, and she dragged me. She said, "Get that car, get some money," because I always had a couple dollars, even as a 6 or 7 year old. And she dragged me by the hand up to the store. Talk about embarrassing. Just walking down the street was bad enough because all my buddies lived there in those houses. Found the store manager, who was a manager at the time, and I confessed my crime to him and pay for the object, and still didn't get to keep the object, whatever it was. And it made a big impression on me. It made a big impression on me. But I was thinking about this the other day, and I thought, we don't hold people accountable anymore. And that's one of the big things. We just don't hold people accountable. Now everybody's a victim. Everybody's a victim. In fact, you can see people brag about stealing you can see it on TikTok, YouTube videos. They brag about stealing from stores, show you how they do it. Of course, a lot of them get busted, but that's another story. But there's no personal accountability. And a lot of adults are teaching their kids, taking their kids with them when they steal. I just find that appalling. There's just no personal accountability anymore. Another thing that's changed is the crime has changed. There's nothing new here. I mean, we've always had criminals, uh, but now we have this thing called no cash bail. No cash bail with repeat offenders. They're walking out. They're getting busted and they're walking out the same day. Now, violent crime did peak in the early 90s. Violent crime peaked in the early 90s, and it's been declining. Now, if you take out the large cities, New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, if you take out just those three cities, violent crime is way, way, way down. Well, what does that tell you? What's changed? What's changed since then? Well, there's a hidden message there. If you look real close, these are some of the cities that they want to defund the police, and they're cutting back on that. They want to send social workers to domestic violence. Now, any law enforcement officer will tell you, and I have several who are friends, will tell you the most dangerous call that they make is when they go to domestic violence situation. And now there's people wanting to send social workers to those situations. Gee, I wonder what's going to happen there. Uh, Another thing that's changed a lot since I was a kid was health. Our health has changed. Here's a good example. When I was young, smoking was an accepted thing. A lot of people did. A lot of the men and women who came back from World War II, they put cigarettes in their rations, and smoking was huge. Smoking was huge, but hardly anybody was overweight. Hardly anybody's overweight. Now, smoking was an acceptable behavior when I was a kid, but if you were a little bit overweight, you're kind of frowned upon a little bit. Now, now that situation's totally reversed. If you're a smoker, If you're a smoker, you're looked down upon. But if you're overweight, it's okay. It's okay. Why is that? And I kept asking, because that's the social norms. Socially, it's okay to be overweight, and that's okay. Uh, if you smoke, but smokers are looked down upon. Also, when I was a child, longevity was increasing. We're getting older and older. We're able to grow old because of the medicine. Now it's declining. This is the first generation. They say this is the first generation that's there right now. Their longevity will probably be shorter than what mine is, and it's because of a lot of things. Now, what's changed? What's changed? Why is our longevity declining? We have sedentary jobs. We're sitting in front of a computer screen all day instead of out working somewhere. For the most part, not everybody. For the most part, I always work, so it was never a situation with me. But our main thing that's changed is our diet. Our diet has changed. Chronic diseases are skyrocketing. ADHD, autism, spiking, skyrocketing. Now, when I was a child, we probably had some autistic kids, and we probably had some kids that were ADHD, but it wasn't diagnosed at 1 out of 10 kids like it is now. Throw pills at them. Something's changed. The diet's changed. Um, I can remember when I was a child, people would go to clinics, clinics to get what was called a diet shot. And all it was, I think it was about like a half a hit of speed that would keep you awake for 2 or 3 days, and they'd lose weight because I knew people like that. Well, guess what? We've come full circle on that one. Now you can turn on television and half the commercials are about shots about losing weight. Take a shot. Don't change your diet. Just take a shot and you'll lose weight. Something's wrong here. Something is terribly wrong here. Now, this may sound simple, but I'm a simple kind of guy, as you all know. Calories in, calories out, and it changes at different stages of our life. I'm 220 pounds. I don't have to eat that much to maintain that. But if I eat more than that, I'll definitely gain weight. We have higher healthcare costs now than what we did 50 years ago. And I don't know why that is, but we can live longer. Also, medicine well, I don't call it living longer. Medicine can keep us alive longer because the medical field has really improved. Family has changed a lot. When I was younger, I graduated in the class about 400 and something kids, and I'm sure there were some kids there that from single parent families. I knew one. I knew one. Everybody had two adults in their family, a husband and a wife, and but but now it's normal. 30% are from single family homes, and in urban areas, it's actually a lot higher. When I was young, most women did not work outside the home. I was always taught you have to have two incomes in order to survive these days. Well, yeah, sometimes. I had three sons who are married to women who have advanced degrees, and none of my daughter-in-laws work outside the home. So it can be done. It can be done. Um, my wife, she worked part. She worked when I was in college because we were married when I was in college. Um, she worked part time here and there. She did work the last 6 years before she retired, but she didn't work outside the home. I was able to provide, and we did it without some things. We lived in an 850 square foot house with one bathroom with three kids. We did it. That was just normal for us. But now we have all these McMansions, and you have to have generally two incomes in order to be able to afford something like that. The families today are smaller. There's more single households, and a lot of people are just marrying later in life. Marrying later in life. Oh yeah, then we got this thing called same-sex marriages, which I don't get, and I don't understand, and I hope I never do understand. Big thing that's changed is the culture. Is the culture. The LBGTQ plus, I call it the alphabet. It's now mainstream. It's considered mainstream, even though it's a very small minority. I don't care what other people do. It's a small minority. Just don't force your beliefs on me. I'm not forcing mine on yours. I don't expect you to force yours on me. But they're very, very vocal. The culture's changed in that regard. Now, when I started my business about 35 years ago, long hair was okay, but not really great, depending on the workplace. Now, the first guy I hired, no, I guess Steve was the second guy I hired. Second guy I hired had hair down to about the middle of his back. He was a decent enough guy. He was a young guy, just got out of college. And I said, Steve, he worked with me about a week, and he was okay, and I was going to keep him. And I said, Steve, we got to trim this up just a little bit. I said, you're representing me. Like, can we cut a few inches off that? He got real mad, and I said, well, the choice is yours. You need to cut a few inches off that, keep it in a ponytail or something, because you look kind of scruffy, and I don't like that. And you're representing my business. It's a social norm. I didn't care, but some of the people I worked for probably cared. And so he trimmed a little off, and he stuck with me for quite a while, actually, a couple of years, I guess. Then I had another guy, not too long, right before, not too long before I gave up the business. He had tattooed sleeves on both arms. I said, I don't have a problem with it. I said, man, because times are changing. I said, I don't have a problem with it. He didn't have anything on his face or on his neck or anything like hands or anything like that, but he had sleeves. And I said, I don't care, but some people are going to care. Could you at least wear long sleeves? He said, yeah, I don't have a problem with that. He said, if it means making money, he said, I don't have a problem with that. So it all worked out. So things have changed. I'm going to have part two of this in a couple days. There's just a lot of changes. I don't want to drag this on and on, but America has certainly changed in the last 50 years. I'd like to hear in the comments some of the changes pertaining to these things, because there's a lot of other things I haven't even touched on yet. But anyway, that's all I've got till now for right now. If you got anything out of this, like, share, subscribe, and until we meet again, I'm going to continue to press on towards that goal.